Thank you for reviewing my sync session presentation on the VMM management of virtual servers. This sync session paper is in response to a scenario-based set of questions, and it presumes that Superior Technical College has started using a virtual machine monitor manager to manage its virtual servers and wants to create templates to make deploying virtual machines easier. In this paper, we're going to look at, or in this presentation, we're going to look specifically at the hardware profiles that can be used to create templates for the dynamic host configuration protocol, the file server, the SQL Server database, and web servers. To start this presentation, I wanted to begin with a brief overview of creating a hardware profile. One of the things that this paper presented was basically step-by-step process of going through how to actually do this. I'm not going to read any of these to you, and as several of you have already gone through the same process for explaining how to set up these profiles, you've seen, and the paper included details on how specifically to create a profile. We're going to overlay this template onto the 4 specific areas that we're studying in this sync session assignment. The first one being the DHCP servers. It's a network protocol that enables automatic IP address assignment to a computer from a defined range of numbers defined for a given network. One of the things that I looked at in this assignment was how the hardware profiles define the hardware configuration settings. And so the things that would need to be set up for this specific server would have included the CPU, memory, network adapters, video adapter, a DVD drive, and VM priority when resources are allocated on a VM host. From there, we move on to file server. File server shouldn't be confused with a database just because it stores files. It's a computer that stores files and is attached to a network, but it only provides shared access to those files to multiple workstation computers without allowing those files to be modified or added to without administrative reconfiguration. File servers don't run programs for client machines, and they don't provide dynamic content like a web server because they don't provide access to a shared database. File servers provide access to static files through file transfer or hypertext transfer protocols, HTTP. So the primary function of a server really is just storage, but by having the file server dedicated to this exclusive duty, you increase computing efficiency and reduce cost. Looking at the SQL Server databases, similar to before, not going to try to kill you with reading through the slides, but going through setting up a template, follow the specific hardware profile configuration presented earlier in the presentation, and there is again a step-by-step process that's very easy to follow for setting up your SQL Server. Then moving on finally to web servers. Important in setting this up is not so much following the template of what we discussed in setting up the other servers, but it is in answering specific questions so that you know exactly what you want to be configuring in your hardware profile. So there's several questions that you need to be asking, such as, is there going to be high or low traffic on this server, and how many visitors per day or month are you going to have? What do you anticipate being the maximum number of simultaneous visitors? And then based on the content, what's the size and complexity of the products that are going to be managed on this web server? How many search queries is the server going to respond to? And then finally, what is the size of the database? There's other questions that can be asked, but these are foundational questions in order to estimate the web server hardware requirements needed for hosting and management. So recommendations as I wrapped up this assignment for the Superior Technical College was to look at some specific recommendations for their hardware setup. The higher your usage requirements are, the higher your hardware specifications are going to be for the web and database servers. So these are examples of what would be system requirements and minimums for Superior Technical College, and that would enable them to get their VM imaging objectives achieved. So this would represent the ideal configuration based on what I think would be accurate for their objectives. So in this assignment, hopefully I helped give a broader understanding of what Superior Technical College would want to achieve in their configuration of the hardware profiles for their web server, for their SQL Server database, for their file server, and for their DHCP server. Thank you for following and watching this presentation.